Okay, let's see if we're up and at 'em here. Night. Well, let me see. Okay. Nighttime vibe. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and see if everything's working accordingly. Yo 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 yo. See if everything's working. Bet. Yo 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 yo. See if everything's working. Bet. All right, we're working. Hold on. Yo. Let me see something. All right, quick. We're working. Hold on. Yo. All right, quick. We're working. Hold on. Yo. All right. Yo. We're working. Hold on. Yo. All right. Yo. We're working. All right. I just didn't know if that made a sound. Yo. All right. That's it. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to know. Okay. Now, one last thing we gotta do, and we are ready to get this review underway. As you see the title of this thing, let's go ahead. Yep, we gotta get it. All right, let's get ready. It's the last thing we gotta do. Let's see, Wrestlemania. All right. Shoot. All right. Now we're ready, officially. All right. So let's go ahead and review this goddamn thing. I actually have to change the thumbnail. Wait a minute. Actually, hold on. See, it don't let you change the thumbnail live. I don't think. Do it. Shoot. Hold on. Cancel that. Yep, gotta change the thumbnail. Frack. Okay, hold on. Dang, it don't. Why? Oh, it do. Okay, hold on. We can change it. All right, I just need to change the thumbnail real quick. Yeah. We can change the thumbnail. Yes. All right, now we're ready to start. All right, getting into the review right now for WrestleMania 42 Night 2. Let's go ahead and get it. We didn't have any notes down, so a lot of this is going to be off the top, but it's actually better that there isn't notes. It actually is better that there isn't notes because dang, hold on. God damn, I gotta do one more thing. Dang, hold on. My bad, I should have came more prepared. All right, now I think we good. All right. Dang, why is it not showing on my? What does it say? What does it say it is now? Okay. All right, now we should be able to start reviewing. Now, I'm not going to have a notes down or nothing like that. We just gonna go off the top. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. We probably just gonna go off the top of our head. Um, that being said, let's go ahead and do it right about now. So, the show started off. Actually, let me give a quick overview of the show. I ended up being. I'm not gonna say the predictions yet, but I ended up being I ended up being I was gonna say how good I did on my predictions, but I'm gonna say that for later. Let's get this thing started live for the WrestleMania Night 2 review. You know what I'm saying? I did Night 1 live, you know what I'm saying? So if you hadn't checked that out, go ahead and check it out. But you can check out this one first. Let's do it. So the match, or I should say the night, started off. And I'm going to start off actually by saying this night was better than last night. I'm going to be honest. Like Night 2, and it's always been like that for some reason. It's like they make Night 2 the real show. And Night 1's like the refresh or the appetizer. Like, you know, you might like it. But then if you want to get anything that's of actual any substance and a real meal to go to sleep with, you know, here's the deal. But whatever. Anyway, let's do the goddamn thing and run the gauntlet. So the show started off with what you would think, you know, on the free ESPN hour, and that was Obafemi, my boy Obafemi, versus Brock Lesnar. Now, this match, I didn't think was gonna go long. I thought it would go maybe 7 or 8 minutes, and guys, it actually went shorter. That is actually clinically insane. It actually ended up being shorter. So the match ended up being shorter. I'm actually have all the results up here for match time. So the match clocked in, according to our wiki. Shout out all the Wikipedia people that be going to work. The match actually, should I say the clock in later? I'll say the clock in at the end. So Obafemi goes against Brock Lesnar. So the match actually, I thought would start a lot more aggressive in a sense of I thought we would get straight to the power moves, but they actually slow cooked it. They actually as slow as you can do within the short frame of time they had or were given or that they ended up going, whatever the case may be. They started with a lockup. They started with a lockup test of strength, and Obafemi wasn't backing down. You know, he's the bigger guy, right? Obafemi wasn't backing down and none of that, to the point where there was even a point where I think Brock Lesnar started running the ropes and he went to clothesline Oba twice with 2 hard clotheslines and Oba didn't go down. And then actually it was a lockup where Brock, I think, had got Oba in the corner, and then Oba, I think, shoved him off of him and made Brock do like a back roll, which was insane. And then, like I said, Brock had went for 2 clotheslines, 2 hard ones that didn't do anything. And then Oba, when Brock was coming back, Oba ended up hitting him with a clothesline, and that got Brock upset, and he was mad. And, you know, he was consoling, or he was next to Paul Heyman and stuff like that, you know, trying to figure out what to do. And he gets upset at the fact that he can't figure out this beat, so he picks up the steel stairs as if he's going to do something, and then he ends up putting him down. And Brock, and I had never seen this before, Brock grabbed Oba's hair. Like, you know how when you would grab a guy's hair when he's on the outside of the ring and you pull him up to the apron? Oba was about to do that to Brock when he grabbed a hold of his hair, which was insane. But that actually ended up, Brock was able to counter that, hung up Oba on the ropes, and then he picked him up and drove him into the ring post twice, threw him into the steel stairs, then threw Oba back into the ring. And I think he delivered like 5 suplexes. And I thought Oba was going to no-sell one of them, but we didn't get that spot. But either way, he did that. And then he had a F5 on the Oba, thinking like, oh, this might be the end. But in the fact that I can remember this match lets you know how short it was. He had a F5 on Oba, thinking, oh, that's the end. But Oba doesn't no-sell it, but like he kind of does, right? He doesn't no-sell in the sense of he technically sold it, but he was getting back up to his feet. He wasn't like popping up, but it was like that wasn't enough to put him down. Like it was like a boom, he hit Oba with F5, but Oba immediately was like up to his knees, like getting up back up to his feet, and Brock's not able to believe it. So when he runs into him, he gets caught by Oba, the claws of Oba. And so, like I said, he basically kind of no-sold it and hit Brock with a choke slam, followed up by the fall from grace powerbomb where he, you know, gets him up on, right? He pops the guy up onto their shoulders, gives him a little boost up in the air, and power bombs him down for the 1, 2, 3. And that was it. And the match clocked in at 4 minutes and 46 seconds. That was insane to me because I actually thought it was going to go at least 7 or 8 minutes. So the fact that they went even shorter, didn't even get the 5 minutes. They had their match was shorter than a speed match. Was, if you know the speed title in WWE, is insane where they have 5-minute matches. Yeah, that was insane. I was obviously, like I said, my social medias, if you look down here on DJ as a Prodigy clips on Instagram, they be posting some stuff about me. DJ as a Prodigy on TikTok is the one I actually run. So I posted my clips and my reaction to that. And it was just fantastic, man. It was great. And the only thing you could criticize about this match is you wish it would have went longer so that they would have had more chances to hit more power moves. Like, I kind of wanted Oba to do that thing where he picks the guy up and, like, tosses him to the middle of the ring. I would have loved to see him, like, see flying Brock Lesnar just going flying, taking that type of bump like that where he has to, like I said, when Oba, like, picks the guy, kind of does Cena's little proto bomb that he does where he picks him up and then, like, plants him down. But Oba does it where he, like, tosses him. I would have loved that. But that's a preference. And the no-selling one of his German suplexes, I would have loved that spot. But nonetheless, after the match, you're thinking, okay, right, Oba wins, right? That's great, right? That's what we wanted. I was 1-0 in predictions by this point. Brock Lesnar ends up taking off his gloves, and you're like, whoa. Is he kind of like, do the retiring thing where you take off, some of your gear? And it really got more real when he took off the shoes as well, the combat boots, put him in the center of the ring. He throws the hands up, everybody saying, like, thank you, Brock. And there was also thank you, Lesnar chants. And he's out of the ring. He hugs Paul Heyman. They're kind of emotional. He rolls out of the ring. He's high-fiving people from each side of the barricade. And when he gets to the top of the ramp, like, he throws his hands up and stuff, kind of like, appreciating the people and stuff. And then that's how we ended the first match in the first segment. I'm going to say this and then I got to pee. The fact that, so all that to say, basically he retired, because that's what you do when you retire, right? You put take your gloves off or you mainly, your shoes for wrestling boots, and you put them in the middle of the ring. And the fact that he did that was insane because, like I said, signaling pretty much retirement. So a lot of us thought we were maybe setting up for a Gunther Brock match at SummerSlam because it's in Brock Lesnar's hometown. And we thought that would be the retirement. But, I mean, he took his gear off like he was retiring. Now, sure, possible that maybe it's not a retirement, but, I mean, that's what you would do for a retirement. You know what I'm saying? And even if they want Brock to wrestle another date, Brock ain't going to do it if he don't want to do it. So I could see him putting those shoes in the ring and saying, hey, brother, I'm legitimately up out of here. I'll say this. If this is the end, I'm glad that someone new got to retire Brock instead of just having it be Gunther again. I wasn't against that per se, but I preferred someone different to do it. And Oba's the perfect other guy if you had to pick someone else other than Gunther. Because I don't want Gunther to have every legend to his retirement or name to his retirement or career killer record and stuff like that. I wanted it to be other new talent to benefit as well. So if this is the retirement, shout out to Brock and what he's done. I've never been a Brock hater. I've been a fan of him at times in a sense of I just like the legitimacy and hype that he brings to the table. But there were definitely times where I just was not feeling a lot of his booking when they would put him in positions to like dethrone a lot of the world champions. And then he just wasn't there like that when he was world champion of the part-time schedule. So it was always kind of a mixed reaction with Brock. I never like hated him per se, but there was definitely decisions, especially like Wrestlepalooza with John Cena, where I'm just like puzzled at what's happening. So it's always been a wishy-washy feeling with Brock, especially after he did my GOAT like that at Night of Champions, Even though I had stopped watching wrestling kind of around that time, all those German suplexes he delivered to my boy John Cena, finding that out, my superhero, childhood hero John Cena, Brock was on my bad side. But like I said, there was times where it was actually fun to have him around. That being said, if this is the end, shout out to what Brock and what he's done for the business. He had a great career, once in a lifetime, as John Cena even says, once in a genre human being, superstar athlete. So shout out to what Brock's done. He's a hell of an athlete. There'll never be one like him again. And if this is the end, shout out to what he's done for the business, man, for the hype that he brought to the table, for the money he's drawn, and for the people that he's been willing to, put over and stuff like that. Because if y'all, if you look at the track record, one, Brock has not gotten beaten, clean in the middle of the ring by a lot of people like he did with Oba here. It was clean. It was a clean victory. That doesn't happen much. with Brock. And anyone who's beaten Brock clean, if you notice, more of them than not go on to have a career where they become a multi-time world champion. So it really is valuable. And the most other thing, after giving respect to Brock, someone, actually I'm going to say this at the end, but shout out to Brock, Obafemi, avenging us. Finally, a brother was able to conquer Brock Lesnar. If this is really, I actually kind of do hope this is the end for Brock Lesnar, because if he retires on a brother beating him, that is freaking even better. Oba beating him was great, but if Oba retires him, like imagine beating Brock Lesnar at your first WrestleMania. You beat Brock Lesnar, and not only that, but you retire him. Oh, that is fan-freaking-tastic. I hope that actually is the case, because, bro, what a freaking early career accolade for Obafemi months into his career on the main roster. So, shout out to Oba. Hope he does great things. And Brock, shout out to what he's done, and appreciate what he's done for the business and stuff like that. Hopefully he has a great life with his family and stuff like that on good old, what they call Saskatoon, wherever he be at, So yeah, hopefully he has a good time in the retirement life, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, the last thing I'm gonna say is, somebody said, oh my God, this is hilarious. Somebody said the set on Twitter, and I was like, bro, this is gold. Somebody said the second Brock Lesnar lost to a black guy, he said, I'm done with this shit. Bro, that was too funny. After he squashed Kofi Kingston, after he squashed Kofi Kingston for his WWE Championship, beat Big E for his WWE Championship, beat my boy, my favorite wrestler of all time, The Rock, in 2002 at SummerSlam for his WWE Championship. All these black guys that he's beaten for the WWE Championship, even Bobby Lashley, even though he didn't pin Lashley, when they had that Elimination Chamber where Bobby lost his title to Brock, even though he didn't get pin bombed, still he lost his title. All of our brothers kept losing every time they were WWE champion, or world champion, whatever. They would lose mainly WWE champion, actually. They would lose to Brock. So the fact that a brother finally beat him, and somebody said the second Brock lost to a black guy, he said, "That's it, I'm done." That was hilarious. That boy Brock said, "I will not. The day I lose to a black man, I'll retire." Oh my God, that joke was hilarious. But I'm gonna pee real quick, and then we'll get on the review. But great way to start off the show. Match, like I said, only criticism you say it could have went 2-3 minutes longer, just to kind of have a little more action, considering it was already going to be short anyway. But other than that, great way to start off the show, and that is a very important thing to start a show off great, because it sets the pace and the tone of what the rest of the night is going to be like. And the rest of the night, let's just say, business picked up as time went on. But I'm actually going to pee real quick, so bear with me. All right, we're back. All right. Back to what I was saying. It's funny because usually in a regular video recording, I just edit that out, but obviously we lie. All right, like I said, I don't have any notes, so a lot of this is off the top of my head. As we move on and move along to the next match, and it was arguably the match of the night. You know what I'm saying? Up until the last match, it was pretty much easily the match of the night, and it was Penta versus Javon Evans versus Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough versus Rusev versus Rey Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. So, shout out to my boy Javon Evans. excuse me, getting to make his official WrestleMania debut. You know what I'm saying? And you could tell how he was, feeling it in the moment. Because I think somebody picked up audio of him, was like, oh, fuck. Like, what I'm saying? Just seeing all those people and him mouthing that type of thing. So that was pretty cool. But nonetheless, anyway, this match was fantastic. Like I said, I'm going to say the first match, I give it an 8 out of 10. The first match, I give it an 8 out of 10. The only thing that would have made it better is if it would have been like 2-3 minutes longer. But 8.5. I'd say 8.5 out of 10 because it accomplished the mission, and the only thing that could have been done better is if it would have went like 2 or 3 minutes longer with a little more action of what they were already doing. So I forgot to rate that match, but the ladder match was great. As far as things that happened in it, I'm literally just gonna look through. Oh my bad. I'm actually literally just gonna look through my TikTok that I posted of me watching the clip to see what happened here. But let me go ahead and see real quick. Yeah, so the match, like I said, Javon made his entrance and stuff like that. And so one of the spots, the first one I'm looking at here was when Dragon Lee did where he does the leap over the top rope Hurricanrana. He did that to Javon Evans onto the floor. And then at one point, I don't know who it was, but they pushed the ladder over and Javon like leaped over the top rope. So he was doing all that. Boy was getting bouncy. Leaped over the top rope as the ladder was pushed down by I think it was JD McDonough. And then there was a great spot which these matches are pretty much spot fest. Penta like pushed Rey Mysterio in there, like how when you pop someone up, he pushed Rey Mysterio up, and Rey Mysterio went up and over Penta's head and ended up in a seated senton onto Rusev through a ladder. That was freaking fantastic. Hopefully Ray's Nuggets are okay, even though, Rusev took all the brunt of that, so I guess it is what it is. He should be all right. Next spot I got on here is a Spanish fly off the ladder, not at the very top, but halfway up the ladder. A Spanish fly from JD McDonough to Dragon Lee. That was freaking fantastic. Everybody pretty much got a chance to have a shine here, and that's what I love the most about this match. And then Penta did a Canadian Destroyer onto JD McDonough onto a ladder. Usually when they set up the ladder where it's like in between the ladder and the ropes, you're thinking, okay, they're going to do like a sunset flip powerbomb. But they actually went full throttle and did the Mexican Destroyer from Penta to JD McDonough onto that ladder. That was fantastic. Yeah, that boy JD was pretty much out for the night. And I was saying it the whole match as I'm looking at it now, I literally was like, Javon, we got to get an OG cutter at some point in this match. I don't know how you're going to hit it, but you got to hit it. And literally, I kid you not, like 20 to 30 seconds later after I said it, he did exactly that. He was on top of the ring post as Rusev was climbing the ladder, and Javon jumped off the ring. The crazy amount of distance he had to leap for that was insane. He jumped off the ring post and met Rusev in the pretty much in the middle of the ring to catch him with that OG cutter onto Rusev onto the mat as he was like I say, OG cuttered him off the ladder. And then Penta delivered a Mexican Destroyer on the Javon. And I was like, nah, man, that's pretty much it for Javon. I figured that was it for him, and that was ended up being correct because Penta, as Rey Mysterio and JD were trying to get back in the ring, Penta ended up getting up to the ladder and pulled down the Intercontinental Championship. So the champion retained his title. Now, by this point, I was 2-0 in predictions. In my video, I said I couldn't update my predictions, but the difference was on one of them, I meant to say one person, and I ended up just saying the wrong person, so that's why I was okay with that one. Now, the Javon one, I said I could change it, even though I said I couldn't change it. I said I could change it, and I guess my statement still holds up, so I get to play along with my own rules and say that I was still 2-0. Because I knew Penta was going to win. I figured he was I even said in the video, Penta is probably going to win because he is the most likely candidate, mainly because he just got the title. But then there was a slight part of me that thought, well, maybe he'd lose it because in these IC title ladder matches, usually it's a match designed for the champion to lose. So that being said, either way, no matter who would have won this, great ladder match. I would probably say a 9 out of 10. The only thing that would have made it a 10 out of 10 is if they would have had 5 more minutes to do more crazy spots. That's honestly 3 more. I mean 5, 3 more minutes of another crazy spot, and I think I probably would have gave this a 10. But 9 to 9.5 out of 10. Great match. Was easily the best match on the card, and these guys, there was no way they weren't gonna deliver. And they gave this match a total of 15 minutes and 8 seconds, so pretty much 15 minutes. And they freaking cooked with fish grease, super hot fire, bubbling up was this match, and they did their thing. Everybody being such a great athlete in this match. Obviously, Rusev a great athlete in a different way because he's like, a heavyweight. But everybody in this match can wrestle, and they're great athletes, and you knew they could do all the spots that you would need in a ladder match. So shout out to every single person. I'm going to name them. Shout out to Penta, shout out to Javon Evans, shout out to Dragon Lee, shout out to Jay McDonough, shout out Rusev, and shout out Rey Mysterio. Y'all all freaking killed it in this match. And as the fans, we all got to witness a great ladder match, one of the greatest ladder matches of all time, one of the greatest Intercontinental Championship ladder matches of all time, because there's been plenty of those. So this definitely ranks amongst the best one, or if not the second best. So shout out to y'all doing y'all thing. Y'all killed it. Like I said, get this match 9 to a 9.5 out of 10. Only thing that would have been better is about they had about 3 more minutes to do like another crazy spot, and I think I would have probably gave this a 10. But they couldn't have really done it anymore. I'm just being needy. I'm just not needy. I'm just being ungrateful because I always want more. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we move on. So that was great. So we in for a great show, right? 2-0. WrestleMania, of course, still had too many freaking commercials showing pretty much all of this Hulk Hogan documentary. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. At this point, if you going to promote it like this, what's the point of even putting the documentary up? You pretty much showing us the whole goddamn thing. Hogan then gone on from this earth, and somehow he still is all over our TV screens. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, golly. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect, but they're like his family and all that, but it's just like, Jesus, bro. Like, we trying to watch WrestleMania, and they're over showing this documentary. I'm like, good God. And commercials, it ain't just him, right? Commercials in general was just running rampant still. That was still an issue, but at least the quality of matches still got to be better and all that good stuff. But moving along, it was my boy, like I said, my favorite wrestler to watch right now, Trick Williams, as he went on against Sami Zayn for the United States Championship. So Yachty did, if you remember his Rolling Loud entrance, for those who know the lore or know some Lil Yachty history, Lil Yachty came out to that song, I think it's called Coffee, where it's like boom, 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 doom, doom, boom, boom. Like, he came out to that song where he does the little walkout and stuff like that. If you know, you know. He does his infamous walkout that he went viral for at the time. And he does that to the WrestleMania stage. And then after that, he introduces Trick Williams. And we got a WrestleMania size, WrestleMania sound, whoop that Trick chant. Shout out to Las Vegas. Y'all did that part right. Oba too. That was great to see Oba's, that was great to see Oba and Trick, both of my brothers, get their respective chants, their respective infamous chants / catchphrases chanted into the crowd. That was amazing to see as Trick made his way down the ring. And Trick Trick always has this big white fur coat, but they had it to where his white fur coat was like super long. Like, it was literally like the size of the WrestleMania ramp. That's how long his white fur coat was. So shout out to Trick in his first ever WrestleMania. That was fantastic to see. It was hilarious watching how that coat was so freaking long. It was like freaking hilarious. But as far as the actual match is concerned, as you know, and as you could see, and as you could hear, they were surprising to no one. Booing Sami Zayn. And so, and clearly wanted Trick Williams to win. Now, as far as what happened in the actual match, the match started out aggressive. I think Sammy was kind of the aggressor here. He kind of worked as a heel as far as just being the one that's more aggressive and not letting up and all this other stuff and not showing him any grace, any mercy, none of that. So as far as moves that happened in the match, early on in the match, Sami Zayn hit a blue thunder bomb on the Trick Williams, and I was like, oh no, this match is not going to hit 10 minutes. Because if you saw what happened on night one with how short when you saw how short those matches were, that basically lets you know, okay, if you see them hit one of their signature moves early in the match, that means we're unfortunately in for like a 7-minute match like how we were last night, and it was no different here. But nonetheless, hit the blue thunder bomb early in the match. I'm just calling out notable moves that happened in the match. Another move that happened was Sami Zayn actually was on the outside, and he threw Little Yachty in his little Louis V bag or whatever he had on, and threw Little Yachty into the barricade. So Yachty was dang near out for the rest of the match. And yeah, like I said, Sami Zayn wasn't showing any mercy because he got on the apron and delivered a brain buster onto the apron. Like, these are big moves early into the match. That's why I was like, oh yeah, this ain't gonna get to 10 minutes. As far as other moves, I mean, Trick Williams did his usual, Harlem style kick, like a Booker T does and stuff like that. And he did a neck breaker. And I think even at one point he hit the thing where he grabs the guy's hands and jumps over the top of him, pulls him up and into a bookend, as you could call it. Because Booker T, big inspiration for him and all that stuff. So he hit that in the match eventually. That might be a little out of order, but as I said, after Yachty got thrown to the barricade, Trick got dropped with a brain buster and had that last minute count because, the referee's counting him out. But at that 9 count, Trick Williams was just able to get back into the ring. And that also gave time for Lil Yachty to recover because he took Sami Zayn's head and, jumped down from the apron to the floor as he hung Sami Zayn onto the top rope. And that led to Trick delivering his cyclone kick where he does a kind of a spin into a big boot. And that was a 2 count in the match. And then the match ends with Sami Zayn doing an exploder in the corner where he launches him in the corner to set up for the haluva kick, the running boot in the corner. And when he was running towards the corner to deliver the big boot, Trick Williams caught him with his trick shot, his running jump switch knee, right to the nose, right to the button of that gingerbread man as he pinned him for the 1, 2, 3. I know, right? 2 brothers, black representation, 2 brothers winning on a WrestleMania? We might be in new times. And Trick Williams didn't just win a match, but he became the new United States champion. Freaking fantastic. Another great move, another great decision. Got to love to see it. And yeah, that was a great decision, and I wholeheartedly am for that decision and all that stuff like that. That was great to see Trick Williams win the United States Championship, have some pyro and all that. And his parents were actually in the front row for WrestleMania, so he got to hug them and stuff like that. So that's really cool, man. Shout out to Trick Williams. Even though Javon didn't win, he had a great showing. Probably had the most impressive showing because another move I forgot to mention was Javon actually did a springboard clothesline. He did a springboard, and as he leaped off the top rope, he clotheslined someone off the ladder from that move. So I've got to point that out in that match. But nonetheless, match went 7 minutes. Trick became your new United States champion. Hopefully that now sets up a story, even though I would have loved for Carmelo to get on the card. It does set up for a Carmelo Hayes Trick Williams feud, but now on the main roster. It was great in NXT, and with them getting better over the years, it should be a better feud on the main roster. So that'll be something, hopefully, a sight to see and behold. So hopefully that gives SmackDown some type of must-see feel now that Trick Williams is the United States champion, and there's an automatic feud right there with Carmelo. So hopefully they can build up maybe a couple of matches there. Hopefully Carmelo does get on a backlash and they can do some stuff there. But nonetheless, 7-minute match. I guess you can give it a 6.5 out of 10 because the match, again, just didn't have any time. They did fine, but the match just didn't have any time. But the half comes from the fact that they got the decision right. So even though the match wasn't really much of anything, because again, time, not because they did anything bad, but just the time makes it a 6.5, maybe close to 7 out of 10 match. Because like I said, they made the right decision despite the fact that they didn't go long. So yeah, 7-minute match. And by this point, I was 3-0 in predictions. Next match wasn't really much of anything. The Demon, Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. I'll go through this match pretty quick. All that really happened in this match that I got here, other than the little entrance of, the Demon obviously coming back and stuff like that. I think Dom did a frog splash that Finn Balor or the Demon kicked out of at 1. There was also a point where Dominic Mysterio threw Finn Balor through the table. And I forgot to mention they made this a street fight on the pre-show. I think they announced it was a street fight because at first it was a regular match, but then it was a street fight. So nonetheless, this match took place. Dom at one point delivered a 619 onto a chair onto Finn Balor's head, and then he delivered a frog splash off the top. That got a 2 count. And then the ending of this match was, they hit each other with a chair a couple times. So yeah, and then it was just a coup de grace off the top rope through the table, through Dominic Mysterio through the table for the 1, 2, 3. This match was 10 minutes and 27 seconds. I'm going to be honest, this was probably the worst match of the night. I'll give this a 6 as well because it wasn't bad or anything. It's just because there wasn't Finn Balor being the demon was the excitement. It wasn't even anything that really had to do with the match. Even though I did fine in the match, but again, it had no heat. The whole thing you were supposed to be excited about with this match is the fact that it's Demon Balor. Like, that was it. It wasn't like wow, this feud had been doing so well because they never built on it going into Mania. After the face turn, they did nothing. You know what I'm saying? So the whole premise of this was just Demon Balor was supposed to make us care more and be excited. But yeah, Street Fight will be forgettable. No offense, because like I said, they both did fine. But I think if the story would have had more heat and they would have actually built it up to where we would have cared more, it would have done better. But nonetheless, forgettable match if you ask me. Even though they did all right, it was just forgettable match. Next match for me. Next match, as I was 4-0 predictions by this point out of 6 matches, was Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. Now, I will say, this match ended up being pretty good. It didn't reach great status because they just didn't, again, the time, so they didn't really get to like that great status. But I don't think it got the good status. I think it was like right scruffing on the right there on the cusp of good, which is when I say it's on like the cusp of good, that means I thought it was a solid to pretty good match. I give this match a 7.5 out of 10. As far as stuff that happened in the actual match, at one point Jade Cargill delivered a blue thunder bomb, you know what I'm saying, and she was kind of the aggressor in this match earlier on. Rhea Ripley does her stuff with the kicks and where she kind of grabs the girl's arms and does like a little heel kick. She did her pick her up and put her down into a face buster and then hits the ropes and does a little basement drop kick. Jade Cargill does a blue thunder bomb like how Sammy does. Then another move that happened in the match was Jade did like a flip over the top rope where you grab the top rope and then you use it to kind of flip yourself over the top rope and land on your feet. That was pretty cool. She did that and got a back elbow from Rhea Ripley as a counter, but then Jade hit a super kick, and then she hit a nice spine buster, like pick her up, slam them down, and she pinned her in a way that was kind of wild because not only was she all in pin, to say the least, where she has her like full body on her legs, and it sounds as sexual as it looked. And she's like in that, I think that's she kind of in the missionary position. That's all I'm gonna say. That technically was what it was. If you know, you know. She was in that position, and she was even doing some like humps as she had her there. Like she was like literally going like this, like as if she was giving her strokes. This is what she was doing as the pinfall. Like this is what I'm looking at on my phone. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that if you saw that, you did. If you didn't, you didn't. But that is literally what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like she was. I'm just to show you I'm not exaggerating. That's how she had her. And we ain't complaining. The bros, you know what I'm saying? We ain't complaining. Nonetheless, that happened, and it got a 2 count. At one point, Jade, I think, also hit a scoop slam like how Randy Orton does, where she catches him off the rope and then scoop slam. So that was a nice little maneuver there. Other stuff that happened in the match was Jade went for her Jaded, where she, does the Beth Phoenix glam slam type maneuver. Went for Jaded, got caught with a roll up by Rhea Ripley, and then she went for a power bomb. Rhea Ripley countered into a hurricane. You know what I'm saying? Because Jade is a bigger girl, so usually Rhea can do that on bigger opponents where she delivers like a hurricane. So that was kind of cool to see her do stuff like that. And she delivered a little Shining Wizard there. And then Jade delivered a one-winged angel. If you know Kenny Omega, then you know the move. As another wrestler. She hit that move pretty clean, and it did not get the 3 count, but she hit it pretty clean. That was pretty hard. But they call it the Sandstorm, so that's interesting. She calls it the Sandstorm, so that was nice. And then her group came out there of B-Fab and Michin. They came out there to kind of draw the referee, distract her, get a little bit of offense on Rhea Ripley. But then as they were going to get thrown out by the referee, because the referee caught them trying to interfere in the match when Rhea was on the floor, out comes Io. She didn't get a match on Mania. That's unfortunate, but at least she got to be on Mania. She came out there and handled business, you know what I'm saying, in the match. And she, got the best of both of them. She hit like a couple of palm strikes and a back elbow. And then she was springboarding onto the rope as if she was about to get back at Jade, but then ended up doing a moonsault to the outside. So I thought that was a nice little fake out as Jade tried to kick her off the apron. And the match ended with a great counter to her Jaded, where she, lifts her up in the air by doing the double underhook. And Rhea slipped in between her legs and caught her arm right and pulled her Jade's own arm in between her legs to set up for that pump handle slam. Pretty much a pump handle slam, and called the Riptide. Her finish, obviously, for the 1, 2, and the goddamn 3. And even before this match started, I knew Jade was losing because I actually thought that Jade Cargill would retain the WWE Women's Championship at first, but this is long before I thought that Bianca Belair. So I was holding it a burp if you saw me squint. Before Bianca announced that she was pregnant, I thought what was going to happen was Jade was going to retain to set up a Bianca match because let's say Bianca comes in the next 2 months or whatever. I thought that's what we were doing. Once I realized that's not where we're going because she's pregnant. Once I realized that's not where we were going, I was like, yep, I think this is the one I'm going to get wrong. And I was wholeheartedly wrong on this. And I knew I was going to be wrong before the match even started. But nonetheless, I'll take the hit. Rhea Ripley is your new WWE Women's Champion. So hopefully this brings more life to the show. I give this match a 7.5 out of 10 because I thought it was pretty much one of Jade, if not Jade's best match. And the match needed to deliver. So that's why I'm giving an extra, half point, because the match needed to deliver due to how the build just was not good. You know what I'm saying? They tried, but it just wasn't there. It wasn't connecting. But nonetheless, good on these females for the time that they had, 10 minutes and 27 seconds. 10 minutes, actually, pretty much 10 minutes on the dot, 10 minutes and 8 seconds. So good on them for that. Sorry that I tried not to make this an hour, but it might get there because I got to discuss a main event, but not just a main event, but the main event between Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. Now, I might go on this for a while, so just strap in your seatbelts because this is the last one I got to go over anyway. That's why I'm doing it live, because I know it can take a little minute. Roman Reigns versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. The first time the World Heavyweight Championship is main event at WrestleMania since the new World Heavyweight Championship, that they created in 2023, is the first time that specific version of the belt has main event at WrestleMania. And of course, it would be Roman Reigns, CM Punk, two of my favorites and two of the biggest stars in all of wrestling right now. And it started out with Roman having his entrance that you would expect, right, where he has the musicians, right, somebody playing the piano, somebody's on those big drums like how you see in not marching bands, how you see in band, the more classical, type bands. And yeah, they did their thing there, and Roman's music plays. I didn't realize it until the music went on for a little minute, but Roman Reigns came out in great shape, by the way, to his old theme, not Shield-like theme. No. I'm talking about when Roman was the tribal chief as the 1,316-day reign world champion. That Roman Reigns, when I say old theme. So he came out to the tribal chief, head of the table theme song, and it was fantastic. That's the better song, by the way, than his babyface theme, which is a remix of that theme. But anyway, great theme. He came out with that, and he had the golden gauntlet. Now, it was gold and black, so it wasn't full-on gold gauntlet. But once he came out with that gold gauntlet and the old theme, I was like, oh, yeah, he's not just winning, guys. He's overly winning. So I knew he was winning I already knew he was winning before. Or I thought he was going to win before, but he was overly winning then. And so, yeah, he came out, and that was great. Came to the ring, all that good stuff. So, yeah, brought back his old theme and all that, and it was great. And then CM Punk made his entrance, and it was kind of just basically playing some videos of when he was younger. Not videos, but some pictures of a young kind of teenage CM Punk, and just how he's grown in terms of his look over the years. The pictures of him when he was doing the pipe bomb, just him throughout the years basically up to this point. And he even had his, ROH, and that's another wrestling company that he used to wrestle in before he got to WWE. He had a theme song that he had there, and he hit that old theme back, his indie theme back, and that was really cool. And they both had great entrances, and Punk made his way to the ring with that theme song, with the old black and white jacket that he wore and stuff like that, but it had different stuff on it. I think it had a picture of Larry, his dog, passed away on there, and all that stuff. I think it had even the Puerto Rico logo. I think his wife is Puerto Rican, I think. So all types of different representation and stuff like that on his jacket. But after that, the music turned off, and he did It's Clobbering Time, a loud WrestleMania, It's Clobbering Time from the crowd, and then his Cult of Personality, his actual theme that he has now, played, and it was great. And the crowd is loudly singing along to the song, so it was great. Now let's get all out of there. We done said all that. Let's start with this match. Now, before I get into what happened move for move, the match had fantastic pacing. They started off with a lockup and everything, but they never felt slow. Like usually you feel like they, when a guy's getting beat up, he's like he's down for a long while, and you're like, okay, we know they're gonna get us gradually into this match. That didn't happen. Like they still like sold and everything, but the match was always moving. It was never like a time where like we were just sitting there kind of waiting for something to happen and all that stuff. And Roman brought back more old habits because he was trash talking during the match, which was peak Tribal Chief, where he was trash talking in the match and calling Punk, oh, hey, come on, old man, you know what I'm saying, all that other stuff. He's going after him, trash talking in the match, and that was great. And all that stuff like that. And so, yeah, we got Roman in peak form back here. Like I said, they kept a great pace in this whole match. They were punching each other back and forth. And as far as moves are concerned that I got here, there was a point where they were on the floor. They was on the floor actually a lot. But and the referee was letting it slide. But it's cool because, it is what it is. Punk did a leap up. He leaped up on top of the barricade and delivered a clothesline to Roman Reigns. And then Roman, as Punk was gloating, even mocking Roman's and throwing up the one and mocking Roman then got Punk and threw him off the announce table onto the floor. And I'm like, golly, Punk being an older man, the fact that he took that bump onto the floor is insane. But yeah, that was what happened there. And then after he did that, or I'm just calling out random spots, Punk did a crossbody off the top rope on the Roman for a 2 count, you know what I'm saying? So he didn't even cover him. He just started delivering multiple punches. And then Roman Reigns delivered a Superman punch to CM Punk. And there was a point in time where I think CM Punk was going to do the elbow drop from, and it's funny because I saw the Undertaker match that he had where he did that spot as far as the elbow drop from the ring post to the announce table. That's what he did to the Undertaker, and I had literally watched that match yesterday. So the fact that he went for that same spot was kind of interesting how that happened. But Roman stopped him from doing it by way of pulling him down, as they say, the tree of woe, where the guy's hanging upside down and his foot is caught in the metal ring post. And Roman had him in that position, and he started mocking the fact that Punk couldn't reach him, right? Because he's doing the thing where he's like backing up because Punk is like trying to get him. So he's mocking the fact that he's upside down and he can't get him. So he does that, showing those veneers off as he's smiling and stuff like that and laughing and gloating. And then he started delivering a good bit of punches to CM Punk, to the point where as Punk is upside down, where his like head is pretty much on top of the ring apron, Roman delivered not one, not two, but 3 Superman punches as he like leaps up and kind of punches down, right? Because his head's down there. Punches him with 3 Superman punches to the point where Punk ended up bleeding in the mouth and the head after that. So I'm like, wow, we got blood for both WrestleMania main events, like the one last night and the one on this one, night 1 and 2 for WrestleMania 42. So that was fantastic. That was great. So like I said, it started getting blood here for both matches. And then Roman picked up the steel steps and hit Punk in the head as he was upside down. I mean, he was beating him up all types of ways. The blood was rushing all types of ways with the way he was punching him, and he was upside down. Yeah, the blood's everywhere pretty much at this point. Punk's like probably at this point overly discombobulated. But he hit him with the ring steps, and you could say referee let it, because you would think that's a DQ, but maybe referee let it slide. And then I've also heard before on commentary, they're like, well, the ring steps aren't a DQ because the ring steps are technically part of the ring. So you didn't use a foreign object because the ring steps are considered part of the ring. But then they've DQ'd people for it before. So I don't know. The rules are inconsistent. I don't know if it was referees being lenient or what, but nonetheless, like I said, we got that blood. And then Roman Reigns powerbombed CM Punk through the announce table. And then there was a point where I think Roman tried to hit a GTS on the Punk, stealing his move, and Punk ended up hitting I don't know if it was in this order, but he ended up hitting a GTS on the Roman Reigns for a 2 count. And then another thing that happened in the match was, I think he went for another one, and Punk tried to hit Roman with a clothesline. Roman ends up hitting a spear, and he kicked out. I think Roman ended up kicking out like 2 GTSs, I think, in this match, if I'm not mistaken. I think he kicked out of 2 of them. Yeah, like I said, master kick out of 2.999. He gets his shoulder up last minute. And like I said earlier, Roman tried to hit a GT. I think I got it out of orders. Now Roman tries to hit a GTS on the Punk. Punk counters it by hitting him with a head kick, and that got a 2 count. And then Punk's like, okay, you want to mock me? I'm going to mock you too. And he loads up the Superman punch, you know what I'm saying? Loads up that Superman punch. And hits Roman clean flush with the Superman punch for a 2 count. And it's funny because in the when I was watching the match, I said I think Punk should have did a callback to when Roman says that he told Roman would tell Cody. Roman, I think it was at WrestleMania 40. Roman, when he tried to pin Cody after stealing Cody's move, the Crossroads, he's like, you know what, that move never beats anybody. It's a stupid move. I said Punk should have said that about the Superman punch when Roman kicked out of CM Punk's Superman punch. I think Punk should have done the same thing and been like, yeah, that Superman punch never beats anybody. So it would be cool if he had done a callback to that. That was just a little detail I think would have been cool if he had added that little callback to that. But then they exchanged submissions. Roman, again, going back to the old 1,316 day title reign days where he locked in a guillotine on him, the guillotine type submission, and he did that, and Punk was able to get out of it, and then Punk does his submission, the Anaconda Vice, that kind of I guess you could say it's like a head arm triangle type thing, and got out of that, or Roman, I think he got to the rope, if I'm not mistaken. Either he got out of it or hit the rope, either one. And then Punk, I think, went for a sharpshooter? I think he might have went for a sharpshooter. And then I think when he got out of one of the guillotines, I think he like kind of got out of one of them and then ended up falling down. Like kind of like I guess they kind of play it up to like he was exhausted, but he fell down and got into and then another guillotine was locked in and stuff like that after he did the thing where he kind of stands on his, I guess you could say like kind of a headstand where you like pop out of the move and stuff like that. So yeah, a little submission game was going on back and forth. So that was nice. And then they did a double clothesline. They were both laid out. So as I'm calling out all this action, they, like I said, hit a double clothesline, laid each other out. That was great because I'm like, man, they had just been moving the whole match. So I was completely fine with them having a little spot where they, where they take a break because these guys have been moving the entire freaking time, like overly shout out to them. So the big turning point of this match was when Punk kind of took the wrapping tape of his gloves off, threw him onto the ground, and that led to the referee going like, oh, like what the heck, so the referee's picking it up, and obviously because he's distracted with that, picking it up and stuff like that, that lets Punk for that momentary time hit a low blow onto Roman Reigns, you know what I'm saying, right in between the jewels. And I'm like shocked because I'm like, oh shoot, Punk is like gonna do whatever it takes to, retain the title. You know what I'm saying? So he hits a GTS after that low blow. And again, this is, I think, the second GTS Roman kicked out of. So kicked out of that. So, yep, still didn't do the job. The fans are invested. And then eventually he got Roman onto the table again like he did earlier. But this time he successfully hit that elbow drop from the metal ring post to the announce table. He went through the table perfectly. And those new tables are like kind of weird. So glad he was able to go through that table because it's like round instead of rectangular now. So yeah, shout out to him for that. And then Punk, and this was the finish of the match, Punk hit a GTS on the Roman Reigns, and they did the thing where he bounces off the ropes and falls back on the Punk's shoulders. And Punk is going to hit another GTS on the Punk or Roman to end the match, which this would be a fourth one by this point. But they're playing up to like the fatigue, right? Like he's old, not per se older, but just deep into a match. And Roman being a heavy guy, he wasn't able to muster him up for another one, so he just fell down. And that gave Roman enough time to recover to then hit the ropes, not once, but twice, right? Doubling up on the speed to hit a spear onto CM Punk for the 1, 2, 3. Ding, 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 end of the freaking match. I think I'm going to give this match a 9 out of 10 as well. Over time, I could change my mind and give it a 10 out of 10, but 9 out of 10, it ended with Roman raising the World Heavyweight Championship above his head. Pyro went crazy. So that was the end of the show. I'm going to talk about what happened in the post show, which was some interesting things coming out of that, even though usually nobody watches the post show, but there was actually some interesting things that came out of that involving Roman. And so he won the World Heavyweight Championship, and like I said, we went off the air from there. Great match, 9 out of 10 match. It was the longest match of the weekend, which I wasn't shocked at, but man, it was one of those matches where you knew it was going longer than the other matches, but you didn't want it to end, you know what I'm saying? You were kind of aware it was going a little while, not a long time per se, because again, they were moving the whole match, so it never felt like they were like going slow, but you knew it was going for a little time, and the match clocked in at 33, I knew it went 30 minutes or a little over, 33 minutes and 56 seconds. So pretty much almost 34 minutes, almost 35 minutes of straight action between just two of the biggest stars and two of the best guys on the roster, just showing you why they're at the top. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, 9 to 9.5 out of 10 match. I think the only thing that would have made it 10 out of 10 is maybe if we would have got one more crazy spot or one more thing that would have really made me go like, you know, that would have made me think a bigger story was unfolding. Maybe. Like I said, I might rate a 10 out of 10 as a little time go on. I might actually call this an instant classic because I'm not able to really think of what could have made this better. Might actually go ahead and give it a 10 out of 10 because I'm actually really trying to think what would have made it better. Because even if The Rock would have came out or something, that's not needed. I'm glad he actually didn't come out because you don't need The Rock for everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't just pull him out for everything because you want to make something bigger, which is understandable, but you can't, because the problem with that is now you set this expectation that like if he doesn't involve himself in the main event, then it's not gonna be good. Like, and we don't want to set that tone of like it's not gonna be good if he don't come out. So I'm glad we just got a nice story told and a clean finish. No other people, nobody interfered, no nothing. And that was the story going into it anyway. Roman telling the Usos like, hey, I want to deal with him by myself. Y'all got before and after WrestleMania, but on that day he's mine. So they stuck with that, you know what I'm saying? No family members came out, no Rock came out, and I'm like I said, glad that happened because, like I said, you don't want to rely on him for everything to make something feel bigger. So that was fantastic. That was great. That was amazing. Great main event. I'll actually give it a 10 out of 10 because, like I said, I can't think of nothing they really could have done better between just them two. So I'll actually go ahead and rate it a 10 out of 10, 5-star classic, you know what I'm saying? Best match on the card, if you ask me. It actually just surpassed the ladder match, and that was hard to top. So shout out to them delivering a great WrestleMania main event. Overall, I think I'm gonna give this show, I think last time I gave the show a 6.5, 7 out of 10. I think I'm gonna give Night 2 a 8 to 8.5. I think I'm 8.5. I think that's fair. 8.5, close to 9. I think if one more match would have really, like if the U.S. title match would have really delivered to that next level, I probably would have gave it a 9 out of 10. Because at that point, the only thing that would have sucked would have been Finn and Dom. So if the U.S. title match would have had more time, I think this would be a 9 out of 10 show, but I'm gonna give it an 8.5, like scraping the edge of 9. Like I said, the only reason why I wouldn't get a 9 out of 10 is because I think the U.S. title match could have had some more time. But even then, they still made the right decision, which is why I give that half. So I'm gonna give the show 8.5, close to 9. Like it could, it could fluctuate at times between 8.5 and 9. So I'm gonna say 8.5, 9 out of 10. Because the only thing that didn't deliver to me was the street fight in the U.S. title match. Even though it was short, it was still fun and the right outcome happened. So by this point, I think earlier I said I was 4-1. By this point, I was 5-1 on predictions. So I got Roman winning right. And now Roman, that's the last thing I'm saying, I'm out of here. Roman is now your new World Heavyweight Champion, which I didn't think would happen unless he was about to retire. I didn't think he would get another World Championship until like he was close to retirement. But now that some time has passed since WrestleMania 40, then it became more clear that, hey, this is not unrealistic. He'd get the title back. And now, last thing that happened was 3 things. Number one, on the post show. Number one, shout out my boy Obafemi. Obafemi was getting some chants from the post show crowd, and Obafemi called out Roman Reigns. I want to get a direct quote. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna play the video, but I'm gonna give a direct quote of what was said. I don't want to misquote. I will say, what was the quote? What was the quote? What was the quote? I'ma get down to it. Okay, so Obafemi said, I think by the end of the year, the OTC can get some. So plain and simple, taking a shot at Roman Reigns. I don't know if the crowd chanted OTC or what, but nonetheless, the crowd was doing something. The crowd was clearly prompted him to want to call out Roman Reigns. Like I said, I think they might have chanted OTC, and that's what prompted him to call out Roman. So that creates excitement after he beat Brock Lesnar. That is, Oba's having that Brock-like rise, funny enough, where he's going straight for the world title, not even the mid-card titles, and I love it. He's the only guy right now believable for that, other than Braun Breaker, even though he still went to the mid-card first. Braun Breaker is the only guy right now I can see him in a world championship picture at this moment. So, Obafemi, keep the momentum going with him. And now the second thing that happened was the crowd was chanting Oba's going to kill you, because obviously he took a shot at Roman. So when Roman came out there for the post-show, the crowd chanted Oba's going to kill you and stuff like that, which I hope that's another chant that gets over. And Roman said, Oba, you're going to kill me. Like, you know what I'm saying? He said, you did a big thing tonight, obviously beating Brock Lesnar. But I've done that many times, you know what I'm saying? Because Roman has beat him a couple times. And he said, I've done that with a title on the line and without title on, with all this stuff right there. And he said, okay, you know, for the rest of the summer, let's see how you do. And then we'll see, like, if you can go against, you know, the greatest of all time, obviously talking about himself. So that was the second thing that happened. So that makes a Roman Reigns Obafemi match very attractive and appealing. It was already attractive and appealing, but now that they've actually verbally called each other out, that is very attractive and appealing. And the third thing that came out of the post show was Roman Reigns said that he was going to, let me actually get it here. He said, all this part-time crap, you know, we're going to fix that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to fix that part-time stuff. He said, y'all better make some room because you're going to see my ass all summer. He said, you're going to see him all summer, which means, and hopefully it ends up being true, in that come this summer, we will be seeing once again, for a long time in a while, a full-time tribal chief, a full-time Roman Reigns that we haven't seen since, what, like 2022? So that makes for some amazing television. If he, and he did say, y'all see me tomorrow. He also said this. He also said, y'all see me tomorrow night on the Raw after WrestleMania. So he did confirm he will be there tomorrow. I think the time is actually today now as of this recording, but on the Raw after WrestleMania, he said he is going to be there. So hopefully, last thing I'm going to say, and I'm out, hopefully he is full-time, because if he's going to be the world heavyweight champion, which the whole point of that championship was created so that they can have a full-time champion, because Roman was beating everybody. So, and how it all comes full circle, because now he's the world heavyweight champion. But hopefully he can be a full-time world champion, because we need to see some great stories unfold. So Roman Reigns and Obafemi, they've already set up that match down the line, and that is going to be epic story-wise and match-wise. So look, I'm glad they had Oba win. This creates a massive star for the future, probably the one with the most momentum right now out of all the future talent. He probably has the most momentum right now, especially after beating Brock in his first Mania match and pretty much retiring him as well. So that is great, and that is insane. And I'm glad to see that they see that this is the type of guy you could strap a rocket to. You know what I'm saying? There's very few people you could do that with, and I'm glad they know that he's one of those rare people who you can get him to that world title main event scene quicker than everybody else in his like rookie year. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad they see that and know that. That being said, that's just a very intriguing, exciting matchup, and a lot of intriguing, exciting television for Roman Reigns. You know, Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, Braun Breaker, Roman Reigns, Gunther, Roman Reigns, Obafemi has been put out there. So there's a lot of fresh matches for Roman as World Heavyweight Champion. So hopefully we're in for exciting television and an exciting run with Roman Reigns reportedly full-time for the summer as World Heavyweight Champion. So y'all let me know in the comment section down below, live stream comments or comments after this is over. What do you rate this SummerSlam Night 2 out of 1 out of 10? And do you think Night 2 was better than Night 1? I think it was. I even said it. I think I said it blew it out of the water. Because I said Night 1 I gave like a 6.5, 7. This one I gave 8.5, 9. So I think it blew by like 2-3 points. I think this blew Night 1 out of the water. Just was way more consistent, exciting matches. Again, despite the faults of like the ads and all this other stuff still being too long and matches still being a little short. Because the Brock and Oba thing, at least that match was supposed to be short, right? Two powerhouses going at it, doesn't need to be a classic. So at least that was actually meant to be short in a way where it made the most sense for it to be short. So that was the only one that actually had an excuse to be that short. And maybe the women's fatal 4-way. Those two matches are the only ones that it made sense that they didn't really go that long. All the other ones had no excuses to be short as they were. But nonetheless, moving on and moving along. Hopefully, like I said, we're in for a great show, and that intrigues your boy to hear a full-time tribal chief, you know what I'm saying? So that'll be great. We'll be throwing the ones up, but I'm sorry, we'll also be saying the who for Oba, because I cannot wait to see that. That is one of the matches I've been actually saying when Oba got called up. I said Oba and Roman is going to be a match that is going to go crazy, and especially if he beats Brock. Oba Roman at SummerSlam, I don't think sound too bad. You know what I'm saying? That is a dream matchup already, and Oba just got here. So that'll be great and intriguing to see. Like I said, hopefully this makes for some great, exciting television, and hopefully we can even get some NXT call-ups for WrestleMania. For Raw after WrestleMania, hopefully some NXT call-ups and all some good surprises and just great storylines unfold coming out of this Mania. So, yeah. I appreciate you guys. You let me know if you enjoyed this WrestleMania weekend as a whole. I think this average will probably total out to like a 7 out of 10 WrestleMania. Because the only thing worth watching to me in the first night was Seth and Gunther, and I guess you could say elements of the main event. There are certain elements of the main event that were great. And then, like I said, Seth and Gunther as a full match. Like I said, other matches just didn't have enough time. It wasn't like they were awful. They just didn't have a lot of time. And then with Fatu and Drew, it was fine, but it just should have had more. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, when I say it is what it is and what's going to be is a certified, legitimized, legalized prodigy, continue to come out with the content that bitches the bangers over and over again for you guys. Probably going to actually talk more about this today/tomorrow. And just like go into more detail on like this Oba Roman situation and just how exciting that could be. So next time you'll see me as far as a wrestling capacity, I'll probably be talking about the Raw after WrestleMania. So love to appreciate each and every single one of you guys. See you in the next video. I might even do some recording so I can get some clips out for the reaction to that show. I might actually do that. But nonetheless, see you guys in the next video and or stream. That's all you need to know. Like, comment, subscribe before you go. Post every single day. That's the vibe that DJ's on. We out of here.